Hi guys, Steve Girardi here. Welcome to Steve Strings. Today I have another review video for you. In this case, I'll be reviewing the Batking zebrawood ukulele. So let's go over it. As I said, this instrument comes from Batking, which I understand it is a subsidiary of Musoo guitars. Again, this instrument is the model CB-103 laminate zebrawood baritone scale ukulele. And it's got some interesting features, and we'll kind of go over those. Again, for starters here, you can see that this does have a veneer of laminate, or I should say a veneer of the zebrawood on the headstock. And it doesn't have the typical sort of crown-shaped headstock. It has a slightly different shape, which is interesting. It has some basic closed-geared tuners going on there, nothing fancy. This neck was not described in the nomenclature, but the body was described as laminate zebrawood, and both the bridge and the fretboard were described as walnut. From looking here at the fretboard, you can see that it does have these sort of mother of pearl inlaid position markers, and it also has position markers here on the player's side. The nut and saddle were not described in the nomenclature on this, but from looking at this nut, it appears to be bone, and I'm not certain about the saddle, if it is bone or plastic. You can see this instrument does come with a strap button here on the heel, and also one here at the bottom of the lower bout. You can see here it does have a jack and a place for installing a battery. Again, this takes CR302 batteries, and it takes them because this is an acoustic-electric baritone ukulele. Let's go ahead and take a look at the pattern on this. And of course, with zebrawood, every instrument is always different, but you can see that the veneer, although it is veneer, is book matched, and that looks very nice there on the back and on the front here as well. So if you like zebrawood pattern, this has a very nice look to it there. Right. And as you can see, in addition to the zebrawood, there's also some binding and purfling. And again, it has this sort of ivory ABS binding here on the bottom of the side, and also here on the top of the side, along with some lines of purfling. I think you can see that. I'm not sure how you would describe that. It's sort of like a green, almost like an abalone, but not quite abalone. But again, it's got the white binding, a line of black purfling, that sort of green, I'm not sure what you would call it. And then it has another line, a black line of purfling. From looking at this instrument on the inside, you can see it has the typical or traditional type of notched kerfing going on. And again, you can see that EQ inside there. And if you look around, you might be able to see some of the wires in there. But more importantly, you can see that this instrument does in fact have a truss rod. So let's talk briefly about the fit and finish on this. So I looked this instrument all over looking for fit and finish problems, and I did find a few, but they're fairly small, and you might not even be able to see all of them here when I point them out. I should say that this instrument has a sort of a matte kind of a finish, and it is a closed grain. And so what that means is they put like a grain filler on to make sure there's no little like dents where the grain would be. And then it was sprayed with a finish. And it's obvious that when they sprayed this, they had taped off the fretboard before spraying. And I say it's obvious because one of the minor finish flaws, and again, you may not even be able to see it, is that it looks like right here on the corner, it looks like maybe the tape didn't quite cover the corner of the fretboard there. And so right there, there's a buildup right there of some of the finish that went on the instrument. It plainly does not affect playing at all. And I imagine if that bothered you, you could always take a razor blade and just sort of scrape that away. But again, I'm not even really sure if you can even see that. Maybe you can. If you look really closely, right there at the corner of that the fretboard, you might be able to see some of that finish buildup. And there's another place right up here on the very, very corner of the fretboard there. It also looks like maybe the tape wasn't quite laid down flat. and it has some finish on it. So those are some finish issues related to the finish that was sprayed on here on the body. Also, some very minor issues, and again, I'm not even sure if you can see this, maybe you can, is that it's obvious that when they put these frets in, the frets were glued in, because in some places you can see a little bit of shininess of glue sort of next to, or maybe some squeeze out that was next to some of those frets. And again, I can only see it in certain light, and so if that bothered you, you could take a razor blade and scrape that to get that clean, and then you basically re-oil it and you wouldn't see it. Really minor thing, but it is visible, so I point it out. The other thing I should say is that this instrument does have a bound fretboard, so you don't see the edges of the frets coming through. So because of that, there are no sharp frets on this instrument. So what that means is they cut the slots for the frets, they then put the binding on, and then they insert frets in that have been sort of clipped at the end so that they don't go all the way to the end. And so when I played this here, and I went up and down the neck, there is no buzzing anywhere along these frets. And again, the action on this, I believe, was 2 millimeters. Let me double check that again to make sure. Yes, so at the 12th fret, this instrument string action is 2 millimeters, which is a very, very playable action. I like that. So I mentioned there's no buzzing on the frets of this, on the strings, but at one point when I was playing this and tuning it up, I heard some buzzing. And I realized it wasn't coming from the strings and the frets, it was coming from inside the instrument. And what it is again, this instrument has an EQ on it, and so it has wires that go from here down here to where the jack is. And some of the strings were like just barely touching the soundboard. And so when the soundboard was vibrating, it was kissing those strings and was making the vibrating sound. All I did was put my finger in there and move the string, or the wire rather, off of from touching the soundboard, and that buzzing went away. So bottom line is, that is really a non-issue. One other finish flaw I suppose I should point out here, and again, I'm not even sure if you can see it, because you can only see it in certain lights, but right here you might be able to see a slightly fainter color right there. And what that is, it looks like perhaps when one of the layers of finish was still wet, it may have been like hung up on a rack, because it looks like that finish is just a slightly different color. And that's what I'm guessing that might be. For me, it's a non-issue because I basically can't see it unless I'm looking for it, and even then only in certain lights. But again, I do want to point that out. Let's go ahead and take a look at the accessories that come with this instrument. For starters here, this instrument comes with a gig bag. And I should say this gig bag probably has at least 10 millimeters worth of padding, and it's pretty firm padding. I think it's pretty well padded for what it is. You can see this also has this accessories pocket. I should say all the accessories that come with this do fit in this, although it's not quite big enough to put in a regular sheet of music. You have to fold up your sheet of music if you put that in there. This bag does come with a padded webbing handle, not just bare webbing, but there's padding in there. And it comes with 2 webbing shoulder straps. You can see that this bag opens up not quite all the way, probably 3/4 of the way, but certainly it's easy, or it opens up wide enough to be able to get the instrument there with no problem. The other accessories that come with this instrument include a cleaning cloth, a ukulele guidebook, and again, this is obviously for the raw beginner, and again, this one is in English. It comes with a spare set of ukulele strings, but from looking at the package, these are like the sort of white plastic or type of nylon type strings. I'm not sure if these are intended to be baritone strings. My guess is they may be just regular ukulele strings. This instrument also comes with a decent little shoulder strap. It comes with a finger, this little gizmo, you put it on your finger, and this little thing to keep time with. It also comes with an Allen key to adjust your truss rod, and it comes with this little pick holder that it gets taped onto the instrument that holds a bunch of picks, and it comes with 4 spare pins for the pin bridge as well as this sort of bridge pin puller device. So basically this instrument has pretty much everything a beginner would need, with the exception of like an electronic tuner. But these days you can get those for free on your phone. That's the one I use, is the one on my phone, so I don't see that as a big barrier. But it has a strap and all the other basic things a beginner would need to get started. So let me go ahead and give you an acoustic sound sample. You heard a bit during the introduction, but I'll give you some more here. Start with some finger picking. So you can see there, it has a decent sound. And again, this is tuned at DGBE. So it has a full, low, warm sound compared to, say, a tenor. Sustain is decent. Not as bright as, say, my spruce top baritone, and perhaps maybe not quite as warm and low as my mahogany ones. But it has a decent sound. So now that you've heard it acoustically, let's go ahead and hear it plugged in. So right now I put the batteries in to the little jack right here. When you put these in, you put the batteries in so you actually read the numbers when you're seeing them, setting them in. Again, I have this plugged into my Legato WS80 wireless system for my amp. And let's hear it just sort of, or just hear it just one string at a time. And turn it up. So it is plenty loud. Or it can get plenty loud. And I should say that when you're looking at the EQ here, there's a button you push here, right here, to be able to turn on the tuner. So actually this guitar comes with a built-in tuner, which is kind of a handy feature. So let's go ahead and hear it. So there you are. You got the chance to hear it plugged in. So if you're looking for a baritone ukulele and you like zebrawood, this is certainly one to consider. With a couple of minor exceptions, this thing is certainly well built, and had no real major finish problems. A couple little ones, but not really any big ones that really bother me. And the other benefit of this is obviously it is acoustic electric. And so if you like plugging in, well, that is certainly an opportunity for you. I hope you found today's review of the Batking CB-103 laminate zebrawood baritone ukulele helpful. If you did, please give a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more of the reviews I do as well as the builds I do, please subscribe. Thanks for watching.